Hello, hello, hello. My friend, Scotty J here, back again with another episode of 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. On our last episode, we met with the gang. We got introduced to everybody, we learned their code names, except one guy actually, the ninth man, who had his own plans, snuck himself into door 5, and blew himself up. So that's where we're at now. Let's head on back to it, okay? All right. She crumpled to the floor. June, are you okay? Junpei dropped to his knees and put his arm around her shoulders. That was when he noticed. Her whole body was feverish. She was radiating intense heat. What the hell? Where'd this fever come from? June didn't answer. Her face looked like wax, and her whole body began to shake. All right, let's just rest for a minute, okay? You think you can walk? She nodded, weakly. Junpei lifted June to her feet and guided her to a nearby chair. Here we go. As gently as he could, he set her down in it. How are you feeling? Are you all right? She nodded, and as she did, a single, huge tear rolled down the side of her face. Why? Why did this happen? Her voice cracked, broken by misery and grief and choked by sobs. Why did this happen? Junpei spun around. Do any of you know what the fuck is going on here? Who's Zero? What's this notary game? Come on, anybody? Anything? What the hell is going on? What are we doing here? No one spoke. Ace, Snake, Santa, Clover, Seven, and Lotus. They simply stood there. 7 pairs of downcast eyes, and 7 grim lines for mouths. June's body shook with silent sobs. They slowed as the minutes ticked by, and eventually they stopped. Then suddenly, in the cold, heavy silence that enveloped them like a thick fog, a bell began to ring. The clock in the central hall, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Then on the 10th ring, it stopped. The sound of the bell faded away into silence. It's 10 o'clock then. Ace said what each of them had been thinking. That means it's been an hour since Zero's little announcement. Seven's deep voice echoed across the room. Fuck! I've had enough of this crap! Santa leapt to his feet, his fists clenched. How long are we going to keep pussyfooting around like this? We've only got 8 hours until this time limit Zero was going on about is up. Let's get going already! Santa's outburst fell on deaf ears. No one seemed to agree with him. They stared back at him, their eyes blank and their faces tired. Finally, it was Lotus who spoke. No, I refuse. I'm not going to end up like him. Him? You mean the 9th man? Of course. Who else? In his mind's eye, Junpei saw the corpse again. The dark, reddish-black pool of blood. The scattered pieces of flesh. Organs strewn across the floor, like the blossoming of a grotesque flower. The explosion that had torn through his body had been powerful. The 9th man's neck had been twisted at an odd angle. Junpei suspected the detonation had thrown him against the wall. Half of his face was crushed, and the other half was covered in blood. Most of his abdomen had been emptied, either by the explosion or by gravity. He had landed on his back, and stark white ribs jutted out from his chest, like the legs of some sort of macabre crab. Junpei felt something flip in his stomach. I just think he screwed up. Eyebrows went up, and Santa continued. He probably set off some sort of trap, and that killed him. I'm not going to screw up like that. I'm getting out of here alive. Whatever Snake was laughing at, Santa did not find it particularly humorous. What's so goddamn funny? Oh, my apologies. You were just so very confident. I couldn't help myself. What the fuck? I think you've mistaken the situation. Huh? The ninth man's death. It had nothing to do with a trap. Or at least not the sort of trap you imagine it did. Then, he broke one of Zero's rules. That was why he died. Quite simple if you think about it. Huh? You still don't? All right. How about you take a moment and think back to what Zero said? Specifically, what did he say about the number of people? He said only 3 to 5 people can pass through one numbered door, right? And after that? You're forgetting the relevant part. What did Zero say? Santa furrowed his brow in thought. Junpei thought back. Zero said that only 2 people can go through, that everyone who verified had to go, or that more than 6 had to go through. Well, thankfully, we have, by the process of elimination, it's the middle one, because it's got to be 3 to 5. All those who enter must leave, and all who enter must contribute. Right? I think it was something like that. Whatever it was, it means that groups of 3, less than 3, or more than 5 can't go. That's correct. A gold star for you, Junpei. Snake inclined his head towards Junpei. Seems like a funny image. The ninth man, however, broke that rule. He tried to pass through a numbered door all by himself. That was why he was executed. Then Zero's watching us from somewhere? Making sure we don't break any rules? Oh, I'm not so sure of that. Why not? Because this execution system is entirely automatic. You didn't notice? There's no need for him to monitor us. What do you mean? Snake looked at Seven with what could only be described as pity and sighed. Very well. I see it must be me who tells you. I've waited long enough, I suppose. I had hoped Zero might spare me the trouble, but it seems increasingly unlikely. He couldn't see them, of course, but perhaps Snake sensed the confused eyes upon him. When he spoke, he gave words to everyone else's thoughts. Do you know something? Well, I know a great many things, but yes. What is it that you know? Here. Snake removed a card from the pocket of his jacket. With a flourish, he presented it to Ace, who took a close look at it and spoke. Come on now, what is the point of giving me this? Give me that! Santa snatched the card from Ace, but his expression of disgust quickly turned to one of confusion. Huh? The hell's this? Seven tugged it out of Santa's hands. I see. The card went from Seven to Lotus, from Lotus to June, and finally to Junpei. He looked at it and understood. This is Braille. Braille, the written language of the blind. The card was covered in small, embossed bumps. Junpei could recognize it, but he certainly couldn't read it. Sorry, guys, I can't read this. Junpei handed the card back to Snake, who nodded at him with a small smirk. Okay, that was fun. What's so important about this card? I found it in my pocket. I could only assume it is a message from Zero. From Zero? A message? What does it say? Suddenly, everyone was crowded around Snake, desperate to hear what the message said. Santa especially looked as if he were about to grab hold of Snake and shake the answers from him. Snake raised his hand. Calm down now. No need to panic. You don't need to force me. I'll read it. Junpei swallowed hard and waited for him to start. He was not the only one. Presently, Snake began to read, his voice calm. His fingers glided over the tiny bumps as he spoke. Bracelet number 2. Since you are not blessed with sight, I shall bless you, and only you, with information. I shall tell you the function of the red, of the dead, and of the bracelet. The red is the recognition device. It will verify your number. Beside every numbered door, you will find a red. The dead is the deactivation device. It is exactly what it says. Once you have passed through the numbered door, you must use the dead to stop the detonator in your bracelet. But perhaps you are wondering, what does this detonator detonate? I'm afraid this may be something of a surprise to you. I have placed a small bomb inside of you, and the people whom you are about to meet. You swallowed it while you were unconscious. I have no doubt that by the time you read this note, the bomb will have passed to your stomach and found its way to your small intestine. In other words, you'll be unable to regurgitate it. I suggest you do not try. As I mentioned before, the bracelet on your left hand contains a detonator. Think of this as a remote fuse or timer for the bomb in your body. There's only one condition which will cause it to detonate. That condition is that you enter a numbered door. Once you have done so, the timer will activate, no matter who you may be. You'll have 81 seconds. If after that time the detonator has not been deactivated, it will send a signal to the bomb in your body, instructing it to explode. In order to deactivate the detonator, every person who verified their number at the red must also verify their numbers at the dead. Once all numbers have been verified by the dead, you'll need to pull the lever at its side, and the countdown will cease. Anyone who does not verify their number at the red will find themselves unable to verify their numbers at the dead. That is to say, if you should pass through a numbered door without first verifying your number at the red, in 81 seconds, you will be dead. You must also keep in mind that the numbered doors will close automatically after 9 seconds have passed. So long as the door is open, the dead will not function. You will do well to remember this. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1, you escape from this ship. And 2, your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of this ship, or it detects its wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically. There is no other way to remove your bracelet. If you attempt to force it off or disable the detonator, the bomb within you will immediately explode. That is all the information which I can impart to you. How you choose to use it is for you to decide. If used wisely, you can eliminate those who might be a danger to you. For a time, you would be able to control your fate. I wish you the best of luck. Snake finished reading and carefully returned the card to his pocket. The message had been lengthy, but its meaning was clear. Only those who verified their numbers at the red could pass through the numbered doors. Teams could not increase or decrease their numbers. The Reds, Deads, and Bracelets enforced the rules. They were the judge, jury, and executioner. In defiance of Zero's suggestion, both Santa and Seven put their fingers down their throats and began to gag. The rest stiffened. Some touched their stomachs. Some simply stared at their bracelets. Junpei gingerly touched his stomach. There was a bomb inside his body. The thought of it made him queasy. His stomach felt oddly hollow, and his legs were weak. Why had Zero designed such a ludicrous game? Junpei looked over at the others. All right, I'm going to ask one more time. Do any of you know anything about Zero? They were all silent, each person waiting to hear what the others would say. Finally, it was Santa who spoke. Actually, I saw him. I saw Zero when I got grabbed. I didn't see his face, though. Son of a bitch was wearing some kind of gas mask. What the hell? Come on, guys, give me something. You know, like surprise or something? Instead, it was Santa who looked surprised. There was a moment of silence, and then everyone spoke at once. Yeah, I saw him too. Me too. He was wearing a gas mask. As stories were sorted out, the truth became clear. All of their stories were the same. They'd been abducted at home at midnight. The person claiming to be Zero had worn a mask. There had been white smoke, and then each person had passed out. When they awoke, they had found themselves on D-deck, in a room with a 3-level bunk bed. Only Seven's story seemed to lack the details of the others. Oh, me? Yeah, well, mine was just like the rest of yours. That was all he had to say. It had occurred to Junpei at the time that it sounded somewhat strange, but he didn't press the issue. He hadn't done so because there was something that struck him as even stranger. That was the mystery of the relationship between Snake and Clover. For some reason, they had been abducted in the same room and woke up in the same room. Junpei looked over at them thoughtfully. So what's the deal with you two, anyway? It was Clover that answered. Clearly, she felt she had nothing to hide. We're siblings. Siblings? Yeah. Snake is my older brother, obviously. That means I'm his little sister. That's really so hard to understand? Junpei was taken aback. The others seemed just as surprised. She is correct, of course. He laid his hand on Clover's shoulder. Are you surprised? Well, yeah, but... Why? There are other people here with connections to one another. Those two, for instance. Snake pointed at Junpei and June. Oh, you mean Jumpy and me? Ah, yes. You did say you were childhood friends, didn't you? You went to school together? Yeah. June glanced at Junpei, uncomfortable with the sudden attention. Junpei felt somewhat nervous as well, and tried to scratch his head as casually as possible. Hey, you think maybe we could figure out who Zero is this way? Yeah, you're right. You connect the dots between the victims, that leaves you to the perp. Textbook stuff. Junpei, June, does any of this ring a bell? Ring a bell? Ring a bell? They looked at one another, and like it was staged, they both tilted their neck at the same time. Well, perhaps you went to school with the son of a multimillionaire. A millionaire? Son? Well, someone bought this boat and set up all of this. Whoever Zero is, they must be incredibly rich. Well, we can't be sure of that. To me, this seems as though it's the work of an organization, not an individual. Zero is most likely simply the representative of a larger group. What sort of organization? It could be a number of things. An army, perhaps, or a research group. Perhaps it's all some sort of psychological experiment. If it is, it's gotta be a pretty fucked up experiment. I mean, come on, a guy's dead! The word dead hung in the air, heavy and ominous. The room went quiet again. I don't know who the hell this Zero asshole is, but I know for sure he's gotta be pretty fucked up in the head to do all this. If this was all just one guy, then he's got some serious issues. Even with the specter of death hanging over them, their discussion continued for some time. In the end, however, they learned nothing. Ooh. By the time they finished, an hour and a half of their 9 hours were gone. All they had to show for it was impatience. Man, we only got 7.5 hours left, okay? We really sure you just want to sit around here? No one was willing to argue this time. Very well, then. There's only one way for us to proceed. Sure not gonna be fun running around knowing we gotta jump when Zero says jump. Hey, well, it's stupid just to sit around here doing nothing. Thanks to Snake's card, at least we have some idea of how this all works. Correct. And as long as we follow the rules, we should, we'll most likely be alright. But what? Who's gonna go into which door? June looked towards the numbered doors. Oh yeah, that's right. We can't have more than 5 people go into one door. All 8 of us can't go into the same one. And it would seem we have to split up. Wait. Lotus looked terrified. I'm telling you now, there's no way in hell I'm going into door 5. Oh, come now, don't be so call me whatever the hell you want. I'm not going in there. If I'm going to have to walk through all that blood, then I'd rather stay here. And we were doing so well. He shook his head sadly. Sorry, but I ain't going in there either. Someone else can go into door 5. Oh, Santa, not you too. Hey man, I just bought these shoes. You think I'm gonna get some creepy dude's blood all over them? Then you got another thing coming. That was the last straw. What the hell, man? Weren't you the one who kept saying we should get going? Yeah? So? Doesn't mean I want to go into door 5. Oh, God. There was an awkward silence. Finally, Seven spoke. Fine. I'll go into door 5. Can't go in there alone, though. Anyone else willing to come with me? There was another long silence. This time, Snake was the one to break it. I'll go. What? Oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. We may part now, but I'm certain we'll meet again later. How do you know that? Because I do. That's not an answer. If you're going, I'm going too. I'm going to go to door 5. Oh, what am I going to do with you? There's nothing you have to do. Ace stepped forward. If I join you, the problem is solved, correct? 7 is 7, and Snake is 2. If you had Clover's 4 and my 1, then the digital root would be 5. 7 plus 2 plus 4 plus 1 equals 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. Woo! Oh, it works perfectly! The 4 of us can go into door 5. Wait, what about the other 4? What's their digital root going to be? Junpei did some quick mental calculations. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei remained. Their bracelet numbers were 8, 3, 6, and 5. 8, 3, 6, 5. What would their digital root be? Well, so 8 plus 3 is 11, and then 6 plus 5 is also 11. So 11 plus 11 is 22. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Cool, we can do it. It is 4. 8 plus 3 plus 6 plus 5 is 22. 2 plus 2 is 4. Woohoo! Math! He repeated what he'd determined. It's 4. Add our 4 bracelet numbers, and the digital root is 4. Then we can go into door 4. Yeah, huh? Well, that worked out well. Junpei ran over the team assignments in his head one more time. 4 people would go into door 5. 7, Snake, Clover, and Ace. 4 people would also then go into door number 4. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei. Junpei had to ask himself if the teams were what he really wanted. Beyond door 5 was what remained of the 9th man. He never wanted to see that thing again, but something in him said it would be unwise to not examine the corpse even a little closer. Of course, if he went through door 5, he wouldn't be going with Lotus and Santa. True, it would be possible for him to bring June with him through door 5, but that would mean she'd have to see the horrific carnage that waited there. Junpei didn't want that. Junpei was torn. Should he stay silent and go through door 4? Or should he stop them and insist on door 5? As he turned his options over and over in his head, Ace spoke up. All right then. It seems we've reached a conclusion. Shall we go? He began to walk towards door 5. Clover and Snake followed, with 7 a short distance behind. Junpei? Which door does he want to go through? Besides that door 4 would be fine, or decided that it had to be door 5? Well, I'm gonna say... Let's do door 4 this time. That seems fine enough. We won't need to be combative. We can roll with the punches, and we'll hang out with June. June seems nice. Haven't seen her since we were kids, apparently. Junpei decided that door 4 would be fine. He would go through door 4 with Lotus, Santa, and June. Why did Junpei even consider doing anything otherwise? He'd be there for June, for Akane Kurashiki. That seemed good. He felt it was the right choice to make. He made no show of affection, but Junpei saw her as something a little more than just a friend from his childhood. He watched the other 4 walk towards their door. Ace, Snake, Clover, and 7. Junpei said nothing as they left. Before long, they'd reached door 5. They talked to one another for a few seconds, saying things that Junpei couldn't hear, and then laid their hands, one by one, on the scanner panel of the red. Ace grabbed the lever. His face tight with determination, he turned over his shoulder to look at Junpei and his companions. Goodbye. Be careful. And the door opens. As Ace pulled the lever, the door swung open, the mouth of a great, hungry beast. Beyond the door, Junpei knew, lay the sad remains of the 9th man. It did not surprise him that Ace, Clover, and 7 hesitated. The body was not a pleasant thing. Snake, however, had no such problems, as his blindness made him immune to the horror. He stepped through the door, his feet making a wet splack in this pool of blood. Do you intend to kill me? I assume you haven't forgotten the door only remains open for 9 seconds, have you? Snake had not even bothered to turn around, but the other 3 steeled themselves and stepped through the door. Door 5 swung shut, closing with the heavy finality of metal upon metal. Junpei's companions scrambled to the door. They pressed their ears to it in an attempt to hear what might be taking place on the other side. It's beeping. It's just like before. Probably the sound of the detonator on the bracelet. Do you think they're okay? June's face showed her concern more plainly than her words ever could. Almost as though in response to her question, voice rang out from the other side of the door. It was Seven. Hey, there it is! That's gotta be that dead thing! Come on, get over here! We gotta authenticate! Phew! The beeping stopped. The sighs of relief were audible even through the heavy door. Phew! Looks like it stopped. Junpei's companions leaned away from the door and breathed a collective sigh of relief of their own. Hey guys, you doing alright over there? They heard Seven's voice, but it wouldn't hurt to be sure. Yep, we're fine! Despite the recent danger, Clover's voice was as bubbly as ever. Oh hey! I'm gonna tell you about the whole dead thing, okay? The dead is just like the red, but the color's different. You know how the red is red? Well, the dead is blue. Other than that, it's just like the red. Authenticating is the same too. Awesome, thanks, that helps a lot. Well, we should probably move on now. You be careful out there. Roger that. Whoo-wee. Well, they made it, so I guess it's our turn now. Junpei and the others left door 5 and headed towards door 4. They stood in front of the red and placed each of their hands upon it. Four asterisks appeared on the screen. Junpei grabbed the lever and turned around. You guys ready? Yeah. Sure. Let's go. None of them looked particularly optimistic, but their faces were set. Junpei nodded to them and turned back towards the red. All right, let's go! With strength and determination, he pulled the lever. Run! The four of them leapt through the door together. Ooh, the beeping's starting. The moments they had passed through, each heard a cold electronic sound coming from their left wrist. In the center of each bracelet, a red skull appeared and began to flash. The detonator's countdown had begun. In the long moment that each of them spent staring at their bracelet, the numbered door behind them closed, the sound on metal reverberating down the hallway. There was no way back now. They were committed. They could not find the device to deactivate their detonators. Hey, where the hell's the dead? How would I know? Don't give me that crap! Start looking! I already am! They began to run, eyes looking frantically for the device that was the key to their salvation. The hallway they found themselves running down was a long one, easily 300 feet in length. On the right side of it stood a series of wooden doors, all nearly identical. As if they had taken time to think, they would likely have discerned that the doors led to cabins. Don't tell me the dead's in one of those rooms! Oh no! How many rooms do you think there are? Junpei was too frightened to count properly, but at his best guess, there were 7 or 8 of them. Ah, fuck! There wasn't time to count them to be sure. Junpei ran down to the nearest door. He grabbed the knob and shook it, hard. It wouldn't open. It didn't feel locked, more like someone had hammered an iron plate on the other side of the room. Junpei turned around to find another door, and saw his companions had already run to the doors on their own. They did not seem to have any more success than he did. His own words confirmed their fears. Shit, this one's no good! Same here. It's not moving! June was the last to speak up. As Junpei looked in her direction, his eyes caught something he hadn't noticed before. A small, red light. It flashed at him, dimly from the end of the hallway. That's it! Over there! Even as he yelled, he ran. He grabbed Santa, Lotus, and June, and pulled them towards the light. Santa called out to them as he ran. Hey, how many seconds do we have left? How would I know? Our time limit is 81 seconds. I know that, goddammit! I'm asking you how many seconds we have left! In all likelihood, Junpei figured nearly a minute had already passed, since the door behind them had closed. If that were true, urgency foremost in all their minds, they arrived at the end of the hallway. The dead sat in the left wall, blinking, almost tauntingly at them. Hurry! Junpei grabbed hold of the machine, his hands slick with sweat and shaking. He slammed his hand against the scanner panel. The other 3 quickly followed suit. With a grunt, Santa yanked the lever downwards. Whew. Goodness. Oh. Huh. Huh. Ha. Whew. Ha. Whew. Looks like it stopped. His hands beginning to steady, Junpei wiped away the sweat that had beaded on his forehead. As they caught their breath, the four companions began to look around. At the end of the hallway lay a heavy-looking set of double doors. Set into the walls of the hallway on each side, the larger doors were two smaller ones. They all needed inspecting, but Junpei began with the largest of the three, the double doors. How many times had he come across similar doors, with similar results, he wondered. Or perhaps, he corrected himself, more of a lack of results? Whatever the reason, the door remained firm and unyielding, and refused to allow Junpei, or anyone else, passage. Near the handle was a small keyhole. Above the keyhole was a small symbol, engraved in brass. Mail? He wasn't quite sure what to make of it, and stared at it in a moment of confusion. It was June that corrected him. No, that's not the symbol for mail. That's probably the symbol for Mars. Well, technically they're the same symbol. But I saw a number of similar symbols near the main stairway. The symbols of the solar system. The Sun, Saturn, the Earth. At least, that's what I'm assuming. So this isn't the man symbol. It's a symbol for Mars? I think so, yes. While Junpei and June talked, Santa had disappeared. They turned to find him some distance down the hallway. He'd gone to check the other doors. Eventually, he reached the last of them and jogged back. It took him only a moment to catch his breath again. Here's the deal. None of these other doors open. And that must mean we only have 2 more doors. Lotus examined the doors on either side of the larger double door. Each of them had a metal plate attached to it. Junpei figured they were probably room numbers. The door on the left read B92, and the door on the right proclaimed that it led to B93. All right, let's open them. Yeah. Junpei put his hand on the doorknob, and the door that said room 92. Santa moved the door to room 93. They made it through the numbered doors alive. There was nothing more to be afraid of. Junpei and Santa looked at each other and nodded. 1, 2, 3. In unison, they pushed against their respective doors, and promptly found themselves in a new room. June followed Junpei as he threw open his door. They turned around and saw the door on the other side was open as well. Through the door was another person, his mouth agape. It was Santa. Hey, it opened. Yeah, it did. Junpei and Santa looked at each other. They had not expected the doors to yield so easily. Lotus's calm voice broke into their thoughts. Maybe this is all part of Zero's plan? I can't say I enjoy being treated like someone else's puppet. As she headed for room 93, Lotus continued. Well, now we have these 2 rooms. I'm sure there's something in there that will help us get out of here. Let's find it. Santa and I will search this room. Junpei and June search the other one. All right. Okay. Woo! Quite the room we get to look through. Seek a way out. Ooh, hey, at least this is nice, pretty chill music. Better than the detonator music we got going on. So it looks like we're looking at room 92. It's got a hallway. There's a bathroom, a shower area, it looks like, a living room, and a bedroom. Decent sized cabin. However, I think we are going to... Oh, there we go. All right. I think we're going to save for now, guys. So, thank you for hanging out with me today. We shall tackle this room on our next time. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. All right, I will see you all around. Have a good night. Bye-bye.